Hello everyone and welcome inside UB Stadium where another season of Bulls football is quickly approaching. I'm Mike Bundt and I cannot believe that fans will be able to see live football here at UB Stadium for the first time since 2019 in just a few days. What we're about to do is a first for bullet points.
We're going to preview the upcoming season for Buffalo, looking at both sides of the ball on offense and defense, speak with the key returning starters, and make our official predictions. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. That would be Lance Lipo departing for Kansas late in the offseason following the conclusion of spring practices in late April. Now, you have to give credit to Buffalo Athletic Director Mark Allnut, who quickly responded to Lipo's departure by hiring Michigan co-defensive coordinator Maurice Linguist as their next head coach. We spoke to Coach Mo about how his transition has gone so far.
From Dallas, to Michigan, and to be back out here, it's satisfying to be back in a place that I'm very familiar and comfortable with.
It's been an interesting offseason for Maurice Linguist, to say the least. Coach Mo began the year as the Dallas Cowboys defensive backs coach before leaving for the college ranks for a position on Jim Harbaugh's Michigan staff. His focus was on turning around the Wolverines' defense before an opportunity to return to Buffalo came out of nowhere.
Definitely excited about where we are as a program and as a culture. We took over the job in kind of an atypical timing of things. In 115 days before this game was approaching, I was hired, and we just are really proud of the development that's gone on, the culture that's been built over the last 3 months in the locker room and on the practice field with these players.
It's a homecoming for Linguist, who served on Jeff Quinn's Buffalo staff for 2 years.
When I was here in 2013, we were able to get to one of the first bowl games in school history, and remember Khalil picking me up in the locker room and hugging me after we beat Kent State and got that 6th win, and it wasn't something that was done regular here, and we knew how special it was at the time.
Coach Mo has seen the progression of the Bulls program and looks to continue advancing them in the right direction.
There's an expectation to win and a desire, and we're working to get those things done. And we just, I have a unique perspective on over the last 10 years of what's transitioned and transpired in our program as a culture and everything.
Coach Linguist seems like a great leader for this program moving forward. Now let's address the offensive side of the ball.
Obviously, losing Jarrett Patterson is a tremendous loss for this offense, but they have a more than capable back ready to fill the void in Kevin Marks, who already has a 1,000-yard season for UB. At quarterback, they have a third-year starter in Kyle Van Treese, who guided Buffalo to historic heights last year as they went 6-1, making their first ever appearance in the top 25, eventually defeating Marshall in the Camellia Bowl for their second ever postseason victory.
We had a chance to speak to the Bulls' offensive leaders about how they're going to continue to be successful this year after losing some of their key offensive weapons in Jarrett Patterson and Antonio Nunn, while also retooling their offensive line.
Well, I mean, it's football, so you got to run the ball to win games, and that starts up front. And right now, we're doing a great job of that. But we're going to spread the ball out, and we're going to be explosive offense.
It's no secret that the Bulls' run game has been the key to their offensive success in recent years. Buffalo finished second in the nation last year, rushing for nearly 300 yards per game, finishing 5th in the country in points per game. But this is a new season, and UB has a retooled offensive line that's building their chemistry on the fly.
Very comfortable, and that's just camp. You got to build the bond with them off the field before you can on the field. It's like you're dating. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're starting out in a relationship, it's always like fun. But like there's some like, okay, she likes this and he likes that. All right, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? But what I can tell you is that I have immense trust in every single member of the O-line. Whether that be a 5th year that's coming back or a guy that's been here for 2 months.
Under center is standout quarterback Kyle Van Treese. While he doesn't light up the box score, senior lineman Jake Fuzak says there's no one else he'd rather block for.
One of the most consistent quarterbacks in college football. I think he's the most consistent quarterback in the MAC. And there's something to be said about a quarterback that goes out there and doesn't make mistakes.
When Van Treese isn't throwing downfield, he'll be handing the ball off to senior running back Kevin Marks, who's on a path straight for the UB record books.
It feels good to be back home to my family, the ones I started with, and to get back to work. I'm a grinder, and I'm going to fight for this team, and I'm going to give them all I got.
We have Smoke, who's the best running back in the MAC, and top 10 in college football. You have Ron Cook, who is like Jared Patterson 2.0, you know, who's the same height, same quickness, same vision, you know, and all he did was learn from him from the past couple of years. So Ron's been chomping at the bit, ready to go. And you have Dylan McDuffie, who's probably the hardest runner I've ever seen run the ball. And between those three guys, I can't see any reason why we can't put up the same numbers as we did last season.
Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, the Bulls' pass rush has been dominant in recent years, led by guys such as Malcolm Kuntz, Taylor Riggins, and Ladarius Mack. But Kuntz is gone after being drafted in the 3rd round by the Las Vegas Raiders. Riggins is ready to step up. He missed all of last season with a lower body injury and talked to us about what it was like missing the action.
You know, last year I was able to take a step back and understand things differently and help coach a lot of guys and helped bring the D-line closer together as a whole. And just being out here with the guys was amazing. You know, it's been such a long time since we've had some normalcy. And just to be out here, guys are excited, guys are ready to roll.
Also back are linebackers Gadhafi, Wright, and James Patterson. We spoke to both about why they make up one of the top tandems in the Mid-American Conference.
When James first got here, I could tell that he was different than from everybody else because he obviously started as a freshman, but like the way he went about things every day, summer workouts, it was just like you could tell that looking at his eye he was going to be a different player. So like we just feed off each other. Some things he do better than me and some things I do better than him. So we put the pieces together and it's going to make the whole defense work.
Oh man, you know, just the length, the size, the speed, you know, his IQ as well. You know, just being playing beside him since my freshman year, sophomore, man, it's made us so much better. And our chemistry is like that. When we're on the field, we can't stop talking. You know, communication is high. You know, he'd be like, James, look at this, James, do that, or Gadhafi, do this, Gadhafi, do that. And it's good to have somebody like that. And I know he probably feels the same way because it's good to have somebody who knows what they're doing and trusts you to, like, what you see is going to happen. So I think it's pretty good to have him out there with me.
One of the interesting stories heading into this season will be James Patterson playing without his twin brother Jared for the first time in 15 years. We spoke to James about how it'll be different on the sidelines this fall.
It's going to feel weird, but at the same time, he's just a phone call away. You know, actually, I get to catch one of his games at Bills Stadium when they play the Bills, so hopefully he makes a team, and I get to go there, me and my mom.
James says he's proud that his brother continues to prove his doubters wrong.
It's more of a I told you so moment. You know, a lot of people didn't expect him to get this far, you know, because they seen him coming from a small school, or he's too short, he's too small, or it's just other teams he playing are weak. Stuff like that makes it be like, okay, you're down him again, here you go. That's been his story his whole life, so he just eats it up, and I just know he's going to kill it.
It's been truly special watching Jared Patterson light it up this preseason for the Washington football team, proving he deserves a spot in the National Football League, and I can't wait to see what his brother James does this fall for UB.
Now let's take a look at the marquee games on the UB schedule, starting with Week 1 at home against Wagner. Boy, will it be fun to see fans back in the stands at UB Stadium, but there's 3 games that stand out above the rest. First is Week 2 at Nebraska. Sure, the Cornhuskers have the name and history, but they are not a good football team, at least recently under head coach Scott Frost. They opened the season with a loss at Illinois, and they are facing a lot of trouble with the NCAA in regards to potential violations. This is a game that I think the Bulls can stay closer than many people will expect. Week 3, Buffalo returns home to take on a potentially top 25 opponent in Coastal Carolina, a squad that was great last season, losing only 1 game against Liberty in the postseason. They recorded victories against Louisiana and BYU, and they have a very talented quarterback returning for them. Now, UB hasn't hosted a top 25 opponent at UB Stadium since 2014 when they took on number 8 Baylor in what was then a blowout loss. But despite their ranking, I think this could actually be a tight game overall if the Bulls manage to bring a good effort against Coastal Carolina. And then the last marquee game of the regular season for UB will be the regular season finale against Ball State in Muncie in a rematch of the 2020 MAC championship game, a contest that many fans entered thinking would finish off a perfect regular season for UB. Let's take a look at my 3 keys for a successful UB season in 2021. Number 1, pound the rock. Kevin Marks is ready to take over as the bell cow for this offense. He had 3 100 rushing yard games last year, one against Marshall with 138 yards in their bowl win and a touchdown, and also had great performances against Miami, Ohio, and Akron, where he had a season-high 182 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on 12.1 yards per carry. On the season, 741 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns in only 7 games. That's an unbelievable performance, and behind him, there's more than capable backups, including guys like Ron Cook Jr. and Dylan McDuffie. Keep the run attack. That is the bread and butter of this offense. My second key is maintain the pass rush and get to opposing quarterbacks. The Bulls have done a tremendous job of applying pressure in recent years, led by guys such as Malcolm Koonce and Taylor Riggins. The two were a force in 2019, and Malcolm Koonce continued applying pressure in 2020 on his way to eventually getting drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. But forgotten has been Riggins, who had 8.5 sacks in 2019. He missed all of last year with a lower body injury, but he could approach double-digit sacks if healthy this year. That is my second key. And then to finish up, they have to avoid special teams gaffes. They have been killing the squad in recent memory. They only attempted 4 field goals all of 2020, making 1 of them. While they were solid on extra points, you eventually have to be able to rely on your kicker to make a few field goals if you want to be successful long term. Now on to everybody's favorite part of the show, prediction time. Early in the offseason, many outlets online had the Bulls as high as a top 60 team in the country that could approach double-digit wins, but since Lance Lipo departed for Kansas, some of those outlets have mellowed with their predictions, with the media in the Mid-American Conference picking the Bulls to finish 4th in the MAC East. I just can't agree with that. There's too many key returning starters on this team for them to be a squad that could finish that low in one of the weakest divisions in the NCAA. Now, if you're going to ask me where do I think UB will finish in 2021, my answer to you is I believe they will be an 8-win team this season. I was back and forth between 7 to 9 wins, and I believe 8 is the perfect spot for this squad this year. I had them going 6-2 in MAC play, finishing for a tie for first place in the MAC East Division. Now let's take a look at how the rest of the Bullet Points crew has UB finishing this season. It looks like Rob, Ty B, and Degenerate Ale all agree with me. 8 wins apiece for UB, going 6-2 in Mid-American Conference play. Maniac has them with 1 less win at 7-5 and 5-3 in the MAC, and Kevin has them going 500, finishing at 6-6 overall and 4-4 in Mid-American Conference play. He thinks that depth could be an issue and is worried about the players they lost to the transfer portal, including a few players that went to Kansas.
Well, it's going to be an exciting season, but that's going to do it for us from UB Stadium. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Trainwreck Sports and Bullet Point 716 for all of your latest UB news and information. I'm Mike Bundt, and this stampede never stops.